Now, what is chapter 5? Chapter 5 is single phase system. The difference between chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 5, we have single phase. Chapter 6, we have more than one phase. So when we have two phases and they are in touch, they should reach anything you put together. You remember system, in order for the system to be stable, it has to go for the what? Minimum gives free energy, sir. So anything you put together, in order for the system to be relaxed, it has to be at the minimum state. لازم يوصل equilibrium. Anything لازم يوصل. For chapter 5, which is single phase system, we will talk about the definition of some terms that we are using in the chemical engineering, like density. We talk about it. But we said, if you remember in chapter 2, we said that the density of the liquid and solid will not change much. It is weak function of temperature and pressure, صح? For the liquid and solid. You remember that?
Yes.
But what did we say about the density of gases? We told you wait for chapter 5. Because the density is really changing with temperature and pressure. We'll talk about the ideal gas and real gas, and what is the difference between ideal gas and real gas. In reality, nothing is ideal.
Yes.
We sometimes assume that we have ideal gas in order to say V equal nRT. But the problem that, suppose that you have 1 mole of helium and 1 mole of argon at the same temperature and same pressure. Do you think that they will occupy the same volume? بالعقل يعني hydrogen very small molecules والارجون
very low.
large. يعني انت تجيب 2 ضعاف وحطهم في مكان، هذا هم 2 وجيب 2 مليانين وحطهم في نفس المكان. And according to the ideal gas, it will tell you they will occupy the same volume. PV equal nRT. So V equal nRT divided by. So we have to understand what is the difference. Also, in order to be able to calculate what we call real gas, we need something called a critical property. Critical temperature or critical pressure. We have to understand what is it and how can we get it. Because without knowing that, you will never be able to calculate any real gas. Because in all equations that are used for the real gas, you need TR and P, sometimes PR. Then we'll talk about different equation of state, which is summarized in the bit that I gave to you. Also, we have to know what is the difference between the total pressure and the partial pressure. Chapter 6, we need also vapor pressure. So there are different types of pressure. You have to understand which one is used where. You cannot come and use the vapor pressure in the ideal gas or just like this, or the partial pressure like this, okay? Then there is also something called compressibility factor. We will explain, and what will be the standard temperature and pressure. So this is mainly chapter 5. Very easy. We'll take maybe 2-3 classes, and it's not too much. Okay? Because يعني لخصنا تلخيص المفروض انه يكون لطيف. Okay. Now when we are talking about physical property. If I talk about any physical properties, like what شباب? Physical property. What is an example of a physical property? Boiling point. Physical property. When I say boiling point, it is something specific for certain thing. Boiling point of water is totally different than the boiling point of the benzene. Totally different than the boiling point of ethanol. So it is property for the water, and it is a physical property. What else?
Color.
Color, specific heat, density, viscosity, all those are called physical property. How can we find it? If I ask you, what is the boiling point of the water?
What standard? What standard?
Masra.
On what standard?
No, in degree centigrade. I'm not tricking you now. Why? How did you know it? 100 degrees Celsius. How did you know? From where did you get it?
Experience.
Experience. I experience اللي عندك. Did you go and did you experiment? انت الان الحين انا لما جيت انا هنا وجيت سالتكم ما رحت انت لا وسويت اكسبيرمنت. جيت انا سالتك دم what is the boiling point of water at 1 atmosphere. انت قلت لي 100. من وين جبتها؟
Because
No, from where? No, يعني from where? From the literature. انت you go to the literature. واعطتني اياها. من وين جت الليترشر؟ experiment يعني there is someone who one time did an experiment and measured it and published it. So if it is in the literature published in a reputable journal تصير شنو؟ حجة. You can use it. يعني أنا لو جيت قلت لك ايش دراك من وين جبتها؟ يقول لي ارجع إلى المصدر الفلاني. If it is in the literature in an reputable journal, it is approved to be true, unless somebody later come and prove that it's not. So literature, this is if someone measured it before. If someone measured it and published it. If he measured it وحطها في الدرج ما خبر أحد ما استفدنا. There are some of the stuff you do the experiment and you never publish anything out of it. And sometimes two people publish the same thing in two different countries. But in your mind, at this time, if you are thinking about something, there are other millions thinking about the same thing. Sometimes it happens coincident, and you are thinking at the same thing at the same time at different places of the world. Okay? So this is from the literature. Sometimes you estimate it. If it's not in the literature, estimation, and this is theoretical. Theoretical approach. Theoretical approach. So there are some correlation. يعني now you know the boiling point at 1 atmosphere. Somebody measured it and put it in the literature. You know it at 2. You know it at 3. I came to you and I asked you, what is the boiling point
4 atmosphere.
at 4.56 atmosphere? You will not go to the lab and measure it. Sometimes you can use the published data, make correlation, which is theoretical approach. Make correlation, and from this correlation you can estimate. You can estimate. Sometimes there is a new material. You have a new material that you invent. You made a new perfume. You made a new solution. And somebody asks you, what is the boiling point of this? Or what will be the color of this? Nobody did it before. So it's not in the literature. And you cannot use the theoretical approach. So what do you have to do? You have to measure it yourself. So you have to measure it. So this is meta when there is nobody reported it before. If it has never been reported in the literature. واضح شباب? This is the approach for the physical property. Now when we are talking about the liquid and solid densities. What did we say about it? We say it is weak function of temperature and pressure. معناته ان الليكويد والسوليد we call them what type of fluid? Incompressible. What does incompressible fluid mean? Means that the density does not change with the pressure. If I ask you, what does compressibility or incompressibility mean? You will incompressible, يعني تحط the compressibility, it's function of something related to the change with the pressure. So if it is incompressible fluid, means that density does not change with the pressure. So if I ask you the water, is it compressible fluid or incompressible fluid? Water. Incompressible. Density does not change with the pressure. It changes with temperature. طيب. What about the mixture? Now if I have a mixture. If I have a mixture and I need the density of a mixture. I need a density of a mixture.
ناخذ الأول.
هذا أكبر غلط، هذا اللي قلنا ما نسويه يعني suppose that you have 10% water و 90% ethanol and I ask you give me the density of the solution. كيف تاخذ الأفريج؟ الأفريج تاخذه وتجمعه وتقسم على 2 بس أنت عندك 10% water 90%. تذكر كل من يشارك مقدار حضوره. دائما كل من يشارك بمقدار حضوره. شلون يعني؟ يعني أنت عندك 10% water و 90% ايثانول، إذا الدنسيتي المفروض 10% منها يجي from the water and 90% comes from the ethanol. So this is will equal summation xi rho I. X is the mass fraction. So this is mass fraction. And this is what? Density of what?
Of the component.
Pure component.
هذا الخط الأفريج.
هذه averages. Sometimes they are using the specific volume. Which is 1 over rho density, which equal xi over rho I. Here we are assuming, Shabab, in this mixture, we are assuming that we have ideal solution. What do we mean by ideal solution? In the ideal solution, we are assuming that the volume is additive. يعني when you are mixing 5 mole or 5 liter of A with 5 liter of B, you are getting exactly 10 liter. And this is not true إلا في ideal solution. If it's non-ideal solution, you cannot assume. So volume additivity is valid only for ideal solution. That 5 liter A with 5 liter B will give you exactly 10 liter solution.
One question, Doctor. In the reality, 5 liter and 5 liter will not be 10 liter?
If it is ideal solution, yes. If it's not ideal solution, no. Wow. And I always say, easy example. bring a liter of water and bring قطارة and take a drop of iodine and put it in this 1 liter. Will it be 1 point something?
Yes.
No. It will not.
Yes.
بتروح بين الفراغات اللي داخل جوا هذه الصغيرة تتوزع أول شيء. لذلك في الدايليوشن what do we do in the dilution? You remember the dilution what do we do? What do we do شباب في الدايليوشن؟ في الدايليوشن دائما ما يقول لك add 100 ملليلتر، حتى في الدواء لما تاخذ طحين ايش حاط لك؟ يقول لك add water to the liquid. دائما يقول لك add water to the liquid. ما يقول لك add 100 ملي ولا add 50 ملي. Okay? طبعا we are talking about the differences here. It is very small difference. Very small. Yes, يعني in reality when you add 1 liter with 1 liter it's 2 liters. Nobody will say it is no, it's 1.9999. But as engineering, if it is ideal solution, it is yes. If it's non-ideal solution, it's no. For the ideal gas. Now, for the ideal gas, هنا المشكلة. For ideal gases, raw gas is strong function of both temperature and pressure. يعني الجاز ايش فيها؟ compressible fluid. The gases are compressible fluid because it has strong function with both temperature and pressure. Now what we are after? What we are after? We need a relation. We need a relation among P and V specific, which is the molar volume, which is the volume over mole. Molar volume, which is volume over mole. This is what we need, and this is called what? Equation. This relation is called, you know, equation of state. يعني if I am asking you what is the definition of equation of state, so equation of state, it is a relation that will give me how the pressure, temperature, volume are related to each other. So relation among T, P, V. أبسط واحدة, the easiest, the simplest, is what? P, V equal N, R, T. This is the simplest equation of state on earth. This is the easiest. PV equal nRT. And this is for ideal gas. Ideal gas. Sometimes we are dividing by n, so we say P V hyphen V أبو كبوس equal RT. So V أبو كبوس شنو؟ V over N. V over N. Okay? Now, in order for us to be able to use this, there are 3 assumptions. وانت قول منطقية ولا مو منطقية. For this we are assuming that the molecules have negligible volume. And we are assuming that the molecules does not have effect on each other. يعني they are exerting no force in each other. كل واحد مستقل بذاته. تخيل انت. in a container and you have thousands or hundreds of thousands of molecules, we are assuming كل واحد قاعد في حاله. ومتى تصير مستحيل أكثر؟ لما ترفع الحرارة وترفع البريشر، صح؟ والبريشر لا يمكن لو ترفع يعني يخمد شوية لأنه بس تخيل ترفع الحرارة
تعطي انرجي اكثر
على طول بيتضاربوا ويا بعض اصلا. الاسامبشن الاخير they collide with the wall elastically زي كذا يعني وترجع زي هذا. شوف هذه الثلاثه شو الاسامبشن اللي احنا معتبرينها. exert no force in each other, collide with the wall elastically, have negligible volume. اوكي؟ طبعا نقدر احنا برضو نستخدمها في وين؟ لما يكون عندي فلو. لما يكون عندي فلو ايش بيصير؟ مولر فلو ريت فوليومتريك فلو ريت. It will be applicable. So PV equal nRT either for total amount or for flow rate. Okay? Now, if you want to use this equation, do you need any information about the gas? يعني أنا if I ask you to calculate the pressure, أعطيتك التمبريتشر وأعطيتك الفوليوم والآر معروفة، الآر is the gas constant، وأعطيتك عدد المولات وقلت لك جيب لي البريشر. Are you gonna ask me what gas you have?
No.
No.
So in order to solve using this, you don't need to know any information about the gas type. وهنا المشكلة لما جينا قلنا V equal nRT over P. If the temperature is constant and the pressure is constant, the volume of any mole of any gas is the same. Which is مو منطقي أبدا، مش منطقي أبدا.
نفس البريشر نفس التمبريتشر مو كلهم نفس الفوليوم.
المفروض يكونوا كل الغازات اللي بالدنيا بالكون كلهم they occupy the same volume. تخيل انت الهيدروجين اللي بدره كذا زين مع الكريبتون. مول من الكريبتون ومول من الهيليوم او الهيدروجين they occupy the same volume. ما تقبل انت، ما تقبل انت ما تقبل. طيب 1 mole of ideal gas, 1 mole of ideal gas occupy how many liter? Do you remember? متى؟ مو أي وقت. At the standard temperature and pressure. اوكي مكتوبة يا عمر اكتبها الآن. اوكي ولا يشاهد بعدين كل واحد. So at 0 degrees centigrade and when atmosphere, again شباب I emphasize this, at 0 degrees centigrade and when atmosphere, 1 mole of the gas, of ideal gas, occupy 22.415 liter. Again, when you are going to use this equation, you have to use the absolute temperature and absolute pressure. Always you use absolute temperature and absolute pressure. If you are not using the absolute temperature, if at 0 degrees centigrade, how can you solve?
Yes.
Okay, how can you solve? طيب, R, what is R? R, what is it? It is the gas constant, so it is PV equal NT. PV or NT. I know if I forget, I can calculate it. How? How can I calculate it? I say N will equal when? N will equal when? Or at N equal 1. When N equal VP over, sorry, R equal PV equal NT. مظبوط? So if this is 1 and this is 0 degrees centigrade and this 1 atmosphere, this will be 22.415 liters. I wrote it down. What? Which is 0.0821. شنو؟ atmosphere liter divided by mole Kelvin. So R will depend on what? R will depend on the
بارامتر
units. Will depend on the unit. Okay شباب؟ I'll stop here.
السوليد نقدر نتكلم عنه فلويد.
فين؟
السوليد ممكن نقول فلويد.
السوليد والليكويد الدنسيتي حقتهم weak function of temperature and pressure. Actually it's weak function of temperature, not function of pressure.